This is a video workshop. The Jack J. Valenti School of Communication and the University of Houston bring you the student-produced video news magazine. For the next few weeks, we'll bring you interesting stories and information from our university campus and the city of Houston. I'm your host, Priscilla Riojas. Do you think you're the ultimate Coug fan? Quanta White tests your Cougar sports knowledge. Looking for a little quiet time? Lee Waddell and Joe Minard help you find your inner chi with some yoga. Ever heard the saying in Texas, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute? Karen Rugg takes us to the Houston Weather Museum, where we'll get a few respect for meteorology. Roger Swabach talks to T.J. Jones, Texas Regional Director of the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, about the special union. But first, Felipe Campos talks with Texas-based graphic novelist Gary Watson about After Twilight. We are glad to have you with us for this exciting episode of Video Workshop. So sit back and relax because Video Workshop starts right now.
Welcome to Video Workshop. I'm Felipe Campos and I'm excited to be here today with Houston filmmaker Gary Watson. He's the author of the newly released graphic novel After Twilight. How are you, Gary?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for having me on the show to talk about After Twilight.
Okay. From what I'm seeing, this poster, a series of books, a movie, tell us what this story is about.
Well, After Twilight is a story that's set in Texas 10 years in the future, and an extreme, radical, Theocratic government has taken over the state. There's a religious police force, and they haul people off to redemption camps. It's a pretty grim situation, and our story follows Jen Fraser, who's a young librarian, who in the beginning tries to just stay out of trouble with the theocracy. But she's when her younger sister, who becomes involved with underground efforts to challenge the theocracy. When she gets in trouble, Jen finds herself thrown into this mix between the theocracy and the underground movement. One of the things I want to point out, and a lot of people ask me about this, this isn't a story that's anti-Christian or anti-faith in any way. It's a story about extremism and showing how extremism of any stripe really is ineffective and is harmful.
Okay, so this is not another teenage vampire book?
No vampires in this book at all.
Okay, well, since the release of this comic, what is the public's response to After Twilight? You know,
we've had really, really good positive response. We've just gotten out with it. We've had some good press. The reviews that people are coming back with, what I've heard, people who have picked up the book so far have really been enjoying the book.
Okay, and for those people out there who like comic books like me, where can we get this novel?
Well, we're selling it online at our website, which is www.aftertwilightcomics.com. We've also placed books. We've got books locally in Houston in Bedrock Comics and at Third Planet Comics as well.
Okay. You know, Douglas Brown, the artist, he's done a beautiful job.
Oh, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, with this comic. How did he get involved and what interested him in creating this?
Well, it's very interesting. We first met, it was kind of coincidental. This story is based on a screenplay that I'd written with two of my colleagues. And at one point we started to talk about turning it into a graphic novel series. And as we were doing that, Doug Brown we'd gotten in contact. He'd contacted me about doing some storyboard work for another project. And we started talking about doing the graphic novel. And so we kept the relationship got started that way. I think, you know, Doug has done just a tremendous job on the book. He did a book of his own earlier that was political in nature called Once Upon a 2008. So it was a real natural for him to come into our book. He understands the story. He's a good storyteller in his own right. And I send him the script with my notes of what I'm expecting, and then he really is able to interpret what I've written and also add his own touches to it. So.
Okay, well, what inspired you to write a novel about a future theocratic government in Texas?
Well, it all started, the first version of the story I wrote was 10 years ago in 2001. And I had been reading a lot in the news about really fringe, radical religious right groups who had ideas about creating theocratic laws in the United States. And at the same time, I was also reading about the Taliban in Afghanistan and their religious police forces and how that had affected the society in Afghanistan. And I thought, well, what if these two ideas were combined? What if these really fringe groups were able to do what they wanted to do? What would that look like? So I started writing this first story of After Twilight to draw a picture of what that would be.
Okay, and why do you feel that the secession movement in Texas has become more popular?
Well, you know, it's hard to say why it's become more popular. Well, I mean, I guess there's a tremendous anti-federal movement right now, but you know, there's always been some part of a secessionist element for a long time in Texas. And so it was part of the story that we wrote way back in 2001, and it's like reality and our fiction sort of go on a parallel line because it's became very popular years later.
Well, Gary, tell us where people can get more information about After Twilight.
They can get more information about After Twilight at www.aftertwilightcomics.com. And on our Facebook page, it's facebook.com/aftertwilight, and we also have a video series on youtube.com/aftertwilightmovie.
Well, thank you, Gary, for being here with us today. I'm Felipe Campos, and this has been Video Workshop.
Cougar fans are excited to cheer them.
Today's video workshop was directed by Margiset Cardenas, produced by Monique Andy. The news director was Roger Schwabach. This program is a laboratory production of the Jack J. Valenti School of Communication in the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences at the University of Houston. All participants are under the faculty supervision of co-executive producers Craig Crow and Randy Pope. Views expressed on Video Workshop are not necessarily those of the sponsoring organizations, the University of Houston, or KUHT. This is Roger Schwalbach speaking. Video Workshop is recorded in the studios of KUHT Channel 8, Houston, Texas.